virtual happy hour baseball Zoom webinar. I think they're getting better and better every week. Tonight we have a special, for us as New Mexicans. I know we have people from from Texas and Missouri and stuff on here as well. So, but it's always neat when you hear on the news or you see the newspaper article of a hometown umpire getting to call the World Series. It's always neat to hear about Doug and his successes in Major League Baseball. So I'm gonna turn it over to Dana here. Just a reminder, we'll kind of keep everybody mute. If you have any questions, guys, just some of you already texted me and emailed me your questions, so we already have like 7.
Wow.
But just and pretty cool. But just to kind of keep it clean and not to let it get out of hand, just type your questions in the chat box, and we'll ask them all at the end of our guest presentation. But I'll let Dana introduce our special guest tonight.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Hector. And certainly this gentleman is a person who in New Mexico kind of needs no introduction, but we've been fortunate to have Doug Eddings as our state clinician a couple of times. He worked with us at our Umpire Educational Forum and is somebody who we take a lot of pride in calling him one of our own. But Doug actually worked the World Series last year, and I'm sure it's been a weird transition from the World Series to what's going on right now. So I was hoping he'd talk a little bit about the contrast between the two. And Doug actually sent me a text a couple of days ago and asked if he could bring a guest with him. So we're doing a twofer tonight, and I'm super excited about that. When a guest speaker asks to bring a guest speaker, I think that that's kind of a cool thing. So Doug, I'll turn it over to you, and if you'd like to introduce your guest, then we'll get rolling.
Awesome. Thank you, Dana. First of all, thanks for having me, everybody. Hector, thank you for bringing me on also. And Dana, me and Dana go way back. Always appreciate it. And as Mike Everett said, being a New Mexican, I love doing anything I can to help out officials, umpires in the state of New Mexico. And so this is actually an honor for me to be on, just representing Major League Baseball and New Mexico. But again, as Mike Everett spoke before about Dana and Hector, I mean, especially Dana, that I know more than I do to Hector, but Dana is big on supporting you guys and women, all officials in the NMOA. She's a big fan. I mean, she gets paid to do it, but if anybody knows her, she has a lot of pride and really enjoys what she does. So she's a really a good resource for all of you to, if you're having problems with, your signer, your coworkers or whatever. Yeah, I mean, I think she's always has an ear open to your needs. So always use those resources, because I know she's somebody that really cares, and that's huge to have. With that, like I said, like Dana said, I have one of my best friends. I've known this guy for since 1990. He went to umpire school in 1990. I went to umpire school in 1989. And the funny thing is, I was an umpire instructor at Harry Wendelstadt's when he went. He was just fresh out of college from UCLA. He's my best friend. His name is Bill Miller. He's a major league umpire, number 26 in the big leagues, number 1 in your hearts. Bill has worked numerous playoff games. He has also worked 3 World Series in his times. I would have had more information, but Bill can tell you a little bit more than that. You know what? He's, like I said, he's somebody that I really, not only that he's my best friend, he's a crew chief, one of 19 crew chiefs in the major leagues. He's been a crew chief for, I believe, 6 years now, might be 7. Just the years are going by, but he's we've worked together in the past. I was on his crew last year as his number 2 man. We were assigned this year to be on the same crew again. If hopefully we'll get this thing fired up and start the season, and I'll be on Bill's crew. But yeah, he's from Santa Cruz, California. He's home now, and I asked him to get on. And is he unmuted, Dana?
Now I am.
All right, there he is. So anyways, I appreciate him coming on. Bill, you can say some few words. Like I said, that's a nice haircut you have. His 10-year-old nephew gave him a nice cut the other day. My wife just cut my hair the other day, so I was looking a little shaggy. But Bill, could you say some?
Yeah, thank you guys for having us on. Anytime Doug reaches out, and especially working with high school, youth league, umpires, we all started there. And so I was thrilled when Doug asked. I've been working, like I said, like Doug said, he was my instructor at umpire school, and we've been friends ever since then. We've lived next door to each other in spring training, or either with each other next door for the last 10 years, 12 years. Doug's an excellent umpire, and I was so happy to see him get his first World Series last year. And then, of course, he nails his plate job, and that's what we all get paid for is to work your plate and run your game. And there's nobody better than doing that than Doug Eddings. So thank you guys for having me, and I look forward to the conversation.
Bill, could you share that one joke we talked about the other day?
I told you I forgot all my jokes, Doug.
No, just come on. Tell him when Pudge used to always yell at you. First time you went to the big league.
Well, it was Pudge Rodriguez. Like he was a great catcher, but you could not call, like, if he caught the pitch and he thought it was a strike, he would hold it. So the first like batter of the game, he holds like 3 pitches in a row on me. And I keep saying, the ball's outside. The ball's outside. It's a ball. He's like, oh, it's a strike. It's a strike. And so finally he comes up to bat in the bottom of the first inning. I call that same pitch a strike on him. And he goes, you've been telling me that pitch is a ball. I go, that's what I've been telling you. It's a ball. Anyway.
I like that one. That's probably only one of your one or two clean jokes. So.
That's it.
I'm your biggest catcher in there.
Oh, yeah.
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 So anyways, we're here, just listening to Billy Hayes, and, he had a lot of good things to say. Mike Everett's, with these Zoom calls, it's tough to learn about umpiring. It's tough to talk about positioning. It's tough to talk about, but what's, like I usually do. And I think if anybody heard me speak at one of the clinics I went to, I'm just here to, answer questions, talk about a little bit about, just what you guys do. Umpiring. Why do you do it? Why are you on this call? It's 7:15 at night. You're with your families. I'm sure it's not mandatory. I'm sure Dana's not taking down names. But you're on this call for a reason. You're on this call because you have passion. You have passion for what you do. You're involved in your association. You want to pass stuff on. I don't know. There's different reasons why people umpire. I know Bill and we talk umpiring 24/7 when we're on the road. If we're in the locker room, or if we're after the game having a cold cocktail, or having lunch in the afternoon. We're talking about the game. We might be talking about the night before, or we watch highlights or whatever. A crazy play happens, and we're talking about it. We're talking about positioning, how to get better. And I think as an umpire, I've been doing this professionally 31 years. I spent 21 years. I've spent 21 years in the major leagues and 10 years in the minor leagues, and then probably 5 or 6 amateur-wise. What you guys are doing, high school baseball. And I still have that passion. I still love it, and that's why I jump at these chances when Dana or someone wants me to talk or to make an appearance. I'm just Doug Eddings from New Mexico. There might be an MLB logo on the side, but I'm just like you guys. You know what? I strap it on like you guys. I have the passion. You know, like Mike talked about, perseverance. You know, perseverance. You know, in the game. You know, you're going to have the highs and the lows. It's just what are you going to do with those? And that was a great talk where, you know, you're just sticking it and you're just nailing it for 2 or 3 games or a week or so, and then you go on a struggle for 2 or 3 weeks or a couple games. And you're like, hey, holy cow, you're just not feeling it. You feel like you're missing calls. You know, you got the parents all over you, the coaches all over you. It's not good, feeling good about yourself. That's when you regroup. You regroup and you think about, why am I doing this? Do I still have the passion? Am I doing something wrong? You know, is my timing off? If I'm just not.
Auntie, can you open the door, please?
Well, if my home life is getting to me where it's affecting me going on the field or whatever you do. I mean, I think you guys are all umpires. I know there might be other people that do basketball or football, but that's what it's all about is what you're going to bring to that game that day. And I think me and Billy always talk about is, you know, being positive, being positive every day. You know, it might be a hard day and you bring a lot to the table. But once you start putting that uniform on, start putting your equipment on, you know, you're lacing it up, it's time to go. All that's got to be forgiven, you know, just stop it, you know, because actually what you guys are doing is more, not that it's more important, but you guys have young kids young individuals that you're umpiring for. And you know what? You're there to make a difference. I know sometimes it doesn't seem like it. I'm sure that the parents don't make you feel like that, but the better the game goes, the better you handle yourself, the better you handle the game. You know what? It's going to make a difference in those kids. And you know what? You're going to feel better about yourself. But if you go into the game, you know, upset or frustrated on what's going on in the day, and you take it on the court, you take it on the field, you're not going to be very good. And you know what? Who's paying for it? You know what? You personally you're paying for it because that's not the person you are. That's not the reason why you're doing it. You're not doing it for the $45 a game or $50 a game. You know what? You can do anything on the side to make a little extra cash. You know, yeah, we umpire and we make a few bucks doing this, but it's a passion. What are you going to bring? You know, Bill Miller, and I think he'll cut in and talk a little bit about that, but Bill Miller is the union president of our union. And you're talking about phone calls from the office day after day. I don't know how he does it sometimes. And I tell him, like, you know what, but when he goes on the field, I guarantee that's all past him. He's focusing on the game. He's focused on what he needs to do. And, you know, his passion's there. Billy?
Yeah, I don't know if everybody wants to hear about my passion, but yeah, guys, I mean, you got to strap it on and get things right. Bottom line, you know, from the little league level to the junior college level to our level, you are judged every night. You're only as good as your last call, and it's something that you have to deal with. And so, as Doug's saying, you know, put yourself in the right frame of mind before you walk out on the field. You know, check it at the door. Be ready to go. You know, we've always talked about umpire school. Some of you guys have maybe gone to umpire school, but, you know, dress the part, look the part. You know, nowadays we used to wear the button-up shirts that were all wrinkled. You know, now you have the pullover collared shirt. It's a little easier, but, you know, iron your pants, shine your shoes. Doug's big on shining shoes, by the way. You look the part. And as we say, you know what, in a 7-inning game, a 6-inning game, you're playing in high school or youth league, shit, you can fool them for the first 4 or 5 innings just because your shoes are shiny. They don't know how bad you are. And then you just got 2 innings to go, and then you're out of there, and you might not see that team for a little while. So just look the part. You know, put yourself in the right frame of mind and look the part and go out there and work and try to get things right. And as Doug says, talk it over with your partners. Have that pregame conference. Have that postgame conference. You know, bring a 6-pack after the game and freaking just sit there and just talk about positioning and stuff like that. You know, it depends on how much you love the game. You know, if you're out for just a paycheck, that's one thing. But you constantly get better. Like even, I mean, we're doing rules review right now and stuff like that. And we're seeing things that you just never see. And so it's nice to see video. It's good to review. It's good to talk about it when you go to lunch or you watch Sports Center or something and say, oh, geez, and try to like equate that to your level of play. You know, oh, what if that would have happened in our league? You know, sometimes the leagues have different rules, you know, high school, the Major League Baseball. You know, talk about it. Talk about it with one another. That's how you get better.
So true. And again, want to reiterate, that's why you guys are on this call. You care about it. You're not there for a paycheck. I mean, yeah, you know, you do a few games and it adds up, but you guys all have a passion, and that's why you're on these calls. I mean, I can see probably about 10 of you that you're on the same call when Mike was speaking. You know, I watched that video. That's good for you guys, because again, I'm not here to talk about positioning. I'm not here about talking about umpire stuff. It's more about the passion. It's more about what you're going to bring to the table every game. And, you know, I think that's what I've always done. You know, if you don't enjoy this, you shouldn't be on this call, and you shouldn't be umpiring, because that's what's hurting the game. And believe me, we have people like that they like the paycheck, but they don't like going on the field. And we do have people like that.
Doug, you're not supposed to say that out loud.
Oh, okay. That's why I brought you on, just to, you know, check. But
we're all very, very dedicated. Like Doug's right though, guys. Like they are dying for umpires. You know that. I mean, if you're running this show, you can't find umpires. The parents, the coaches, everybody thinks that they know better, but not a single one of them has strapped it on, walked on the field, you know, walk between the white lines. Until you do that, you guys should be proud of yourself, because right now there are not a whole lot of people getting into this sport or this occupation.
Yep, so true, and especially Billy, and I know just the numbers and all the sports, basketball, football, baseball, right, Dana? I mean, everything's down, which is it's crazy where they're adjusting schedules, canceling games just because they don't have enough. And you know, look at us now that you know we're having these Zoom calls, and we're not on the field. So I mean, hopefully that passion will come back once we get everything fired back up. And you know, that's, you know, like you said, Dana, this is a time that we're all at home, and like Mike said, and I wrote it down. Like, these are the things where, you know what, get into the rule book now. Like Billy said, we have a rules review every week for an hour with Major League Baseball, where the whole staff's on. Later in the week, we have a individual crew conference call with the crew talking about replay, different scenarios in replay. This year, just like the NFL or the NHL, Billy will be on the microphone announcing the replay that Cincinnati has challenged the call at second base of an out call, and Billy will be announcing it. Then he'll go to the headset, and then after the headset, or after base at the review tells him what it is, overturned, stands, or calls, he'll get off and announce it to the stadium. So those are big different challenges. Me and Billy have been doing a long time, 21 years of not doing this. So it's very challenging, and it's different. I mean, even being on a Zoom call, just talking about it's crazy. I think it was 2 days before they kind of banged spring training this year of the COVID thing. We had training in the ballpark in Phoenix. And I think it's called Chase now, or if they changed it again. But anyways, they went live, and Billy did that. Tell them about that, Billy. It was just kind of crazy, wasn't it, with an empty stadium? But
yeah, they give you, like, you have a live mic, and so you are a live feed. You push the button, and your voice like goes through the entire stadium, and when there's nobody there, it just echoes. And so it was interesting to hear. You know, they're kind of giving us some practice, because this is all new to us. So it was a nice to be in that environment. But hopefully we have enough practice when we come back. And right now they're talking about starting the games up, if they do start the season up, starting in the individual stadiums, like not doing a Arizona, Florida startup. They're talking about actually being in the stadiums to start up. So but there's going to be no fans in the stands. So I don't know if we're going to have to announce it or not. Maybe we just announce it for the PA or for the telecasters. So we'll see what happens.
It's going to be interesting. So, I mean, those are the little things that we're doing prepared to get back to the season. I mean, you know, Billy and I did about 15 games before they stopped spring training. It looks like we're going to have to go back for another 3 weeks once they do decide when we're going to go back. So, again, that's just different things. It's a different time now. And like Mike said, I've never been on a Zoom call. Now I've been on probably 20 of them between unit calls and with baseball. It's a different world now with technology. I'm not a big technology guy, and my wife had to show me how to actually get the app and download it. So it's kind of crazy. But with you all, like, you know what, these are the times that, you know what, if you don't think you're, you know, you always say I'm not very strong with rules. You know, this is a time to catch up on the rules and get better. You know, just with different things with association and for you. So when we do fire it up, and hopefully you guys get some games in, at least, you know, Legion Ball or whatever, you know, in the end of summer or whatever, that you're prepared and ready to go. I think between you guys, the kids, everybody, they're going to be fired up to get going. That's like I said, you know what, Billy and Mike went over a lot of good things. I just wanted, you know, with Bill and I mean, we wanted to come on and answer your questions, talk about passion for the game. You know, because again, after probably 35 years, 36 years, I've been doing it. I still love it. I still love talking about it. I still love putting the uniform on and doing it. Still think about it all the time, even away from the field. And to be honest, I can't wait till if we don't have any fans, it's not going to bother me because it's umpiring. And I'm excited to get back to what I do best. And that's umpiring. Sometimes I, you know what, driving my wife crazy and my kid crazy, being home all the time. It's like Groundhog Day every day, but we just, you know, try to get by and break it up. But, you know, it's a little bit hard, you know, when it's day after day. Right, Billy?
You're right, Doug.
Billy lives on the beach, so he has a nice walk every day for 2 hours down the coast. So it's pretty good, huh, Billy?
Not a bad walk, Doug. I don't think anybody wants to hear about my walk.
Oh, we're here. I mean, it's happy hour, right, Dana?
Hey, Doug, a question for you. So can you take us back? I don't remember what position you worked for that big play in the World Series on the runners lane interference. But I remember that I was eating dinner in Arizona at a restaurant, and the whole place went crazy. And of course, I cheered. And, you know, my wife got mad at me. She's like, "What's wrong with you? Why are you know?" And I'm all like, "Well, look at all these people are going crazy." And that was the right call. Can you talk to us about it? And when you guys got together and how everything worked out?
Yeah, sure. I was working third base on that game, and like you said, Hector, it was cut and dry. Sam Holbrook was a plate umpire. The ball was, I believe, hit up a little bit on the third base side. Trey Turner, a fast runner. It was a big part of the game. It was late in the game, and it was. If you watch the play, Trey Turner, even when he out of the batter's box, was way in the grass, and he ran in the grass the whole way there to first base. And it was a heck of a call by Sam. Of course, you know, a World Series, big time of the game. Washington National is very, very passionate. Dave Martinez, I thought, went a little overboard, but again, he's passionate. He ended up getting ejected by Sam. just after, arguing with them, this and that. Basically, when we got together, Hector, just, they wanted to protest the call, which they couldn't protest the call because it was a judgment call. When we got together, everybody supported Sam, and we went from there.
Bill, you as a crew chief, if you were the crew chief in that game, is there anything that could have been done different, or any input as crew chief in your crew chief eyes?
No, guys, in the situation Sammy had, it was he was money. I mean, that is a big call in a big game, and that's why it's so important that umpires, at least at our level, that teams don't have the right to fire umpires or to blacklist them or redline them or whatever it is. For that exact reason, is that we have to be able to go into a World Series game like that, or go into the notorious New York Yankee Stadium and call what we see, and not think, if I make a call, I could lose my job over this. It's very, very important. And the average fan just doesn't get that. The players don't get that. They think that umpires should be held to some unbelievable accountability, that they never miss anything. And, there could be one team that doesn't like X umpire, but the other 29 teams think that guy's the best in the league. And so in that situation that Sammy had, it was a big call. And he came up with it right away. He did everything he was supposed to do. It was a little confusing because now Martinez wants to protest, and in the playoffs we have Joe Torre's there, and of course a lot of times it's hard to find those people because they don't sit right next to the stand, front row, and so he tried to get a hold of him on the phone. They tried to call him on the cell phone because protested games have to be handled right then and there. New rule now for Major League Baseball is that there are no more protested games. There'll never be another protested game because we have access to replay, and the replay room will be the final thing. And so even retroactively later, if something was messed up, there is no more protests. So that's actually a good thing that came of this. But once again, it was a big situation. I think this comes into what Doug and I were talking about with the microphones. I think a lot of people didn't understand what was happening at the time. People didn't know. It seemed like there was confusion. We just signed a new 5-year collective bargaining agreement. We were actually in Houston at the time. And so it was real time that there was no support for our umpires. And so I'm on the phone, on the text messages, texting my bosses saying, you need to get to the media because they are killing Sammy for getting the call right. And so the situation now with the microphones or with the replay announcements, we're going to be able to announce to the crowd. They're going to be able to hear it. They're going to be able to hear what actually is the discussion going on the field. Like Doug said, the Washington Nationals are protesting that the runner was out of the lane, and we are waiting on response from Major League Baseball. People would understand that is being, and at the time, nobody knew. So I think that's the one thing that'll be beneficial moving forward.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Let's see. Someone's asking, how do you guys manage travel and being away from your family for long periods of time? How do you maintain the balance?
Billy, you want this one?
Sure. You know what? It's not easy on the family life, guys. The minor leagues is brutal. I'm telling you, it is. We have a lot of fun stories. Mike Everett, I'm sure, shared a bunch. Billy Hayes was in the minor leagues. I'm sure he had stories. I've known Billy for a long time as well. It's brutal. You know what? The expectations. I'll tell my AA story that I like to tell. I was in the Texas League. Doug was in the same league, and the first year I was there, I think it was '93. The first year I was there, we had a 3-man system. We had a 3-man crew. And first off, the Texas League at the time, there were only 3 teams in Texas. The other teams were like Little Rock, Arkansas, Jackson, Mississippi, Shreveport, Little Rock, Tulsa, Wichita. It was a huge league. And so that being said, we had to drive, and you drove overnight. You didn't have many off days. And so you get in the car in El Paso, you guys know what I'm talking about. These are the Mexicans here. You guys know where El Paso is. I say that in California, people know Paso. So you drive from El Paso to Shreveport, shit, let alone Jackson, Mississippi. It was 1,000 miles, 1,000 overnight. And you check in the hotel at like 2 PM. It was brutal. And so anyway, long story short, the next year, 94, they took away one of their crew members. So now it was a 2-man crew. They took away the rental car or the rental van that they rented us. We had to rent our own cars. And it was a $500 a month pay cut. So, I mean, why in the hell did we do it? And, I mean, now, 20 years later, we can say because we made it. The other people that didn't make it. And that sucks because there's only 76 umpires now. When Doug and I were coming up, I think there were 68. So it's definitely a funnel system where you start off coming out, rookie ball has all this, and then it slow goes to AAA, and you're just waiting for somebody to retire or die. I mean, it's a fact. But it's worth it if you make it. And hopefully the guys that didn't make it, got something out of it, so they'll have stories to tell the rest of their life.
Yeah, you can never let that one go, huh, Billy?
Come on, a $500 pay cut and take away a man? Oh, it's brutal.
But to answer the rest of that
And I
question,
will say, hold on, Dougie, I will say, because I love playing the guessing game here, guys, just so you know, like, well, maybe you don't know, but I'll tell you. when I was in AAA, I was a crew chief, like top salary, like top. Anybody have any idea what I was making? I'll tell you, $18,000 a year. Well, you think, well, shit, that was 20 some odd years ago. 18,000? They're making 19,000 now. So when you go to umpire school and hope to get in the minor leagues, man, you're taking a chance. And, we were dumb enough to do it. Hindsight, I don't know if we would have done it, but we were dumb enough to do it.
that's true. But I mean, getting back to the rest of the point, during the season, Hector, we have on a normal season, we have 4 separate weeks during the year to be home, and it's called a vacation. It should be just called time off. Just time off the road, just time off to get to know your family a little bit better, and to kind of take a little rest, get off the field. So those 4 weeks will be home. Periodically, there's days off on Mondays and Thursdays a lot, where we'll kind of try to get home on a Sunday night for 2 nights and to see everybody, and then back on the road. Fortunately, I can get home a lot of times because I can fly into El Paso and get home. Billy lives on the West Coast, so if he's on the East Coast, there's times, I think last year, right, Billy, I think that he went like almost 2.5 months without seeing his wife or being in California. So it's tough.
Yeah, I don't know if it was that long, but Doug's right. I mean, 6 weeks. 6 weeks is a long time. Long time, especially when you have kids at home. It's tough on the family, guys. It's great. When you're a major league umpire, that's awesome. But it's also, it takes a toll on the family life. It takes a toll on your kids. You're not there to raise your kids. It's either all or nothing. You're on the road for 6-7 months and you're home solid for 4 or 5 months. It's not a bad gig, but it's a little different. It's a little different lifestyle.
Got it. Thank you, guys. Let's see. Someone's asking, moving up in the ranks, how does it look for an umpire to have tattoos? I'm retired Air Force. I get moving up after JV and C team. We have to look the part.
You know what? Billy probably would say the same thing. Probably this is what, Billy, 10 years ago, 11 years ago, there was a pitcher.
A kid in Toronto.
Yeah, Toronto. I was just going to say that. It's a pitcher on his, I think it was his throwing arm or whatever. One of his arms is all tatted up, had tattoos, and Major League Baseball made him wear a sleeve. It was 100 degrees. He had to wear a sleeve. nowadays, if you see it, it's just a normal thing. And I think, you know, there's no code or anything that says that you can't have any tattoos. I know there's some umpires that do have tattoos. I don't think they're visible, but I think even if they're visible on your arm or what, I don't think anybody would have a problem with it. I don't think there's anything that says that you can't, right, Billy?
Yeah, we're living in a different age. You know, I think 20 years from now or 20 years ago, I think it would have been an issue. Now I don't think it's an issue.
Got it. Let me
Hector, you muted yourself.
all right.
There you go.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry about that. I am a young official, mostly doing baseball. I umpire for my university's intramural league, as well as Little League and USSSA. Being young, what is the best way to gain the respect of coaches and players and fans? Have any of you had experience in that way when you were growing up?
Billy?
Yeah, I mean, you're going to go out there. You got to look the part. We talked about that earlier. You got to look the part. You know what? Get a pair of pants that fit you. Get a pair of black shoes. Make sure your shirt's tucked in. You look the part. They're gonna immediately recognize that you're taking this seriously. That's the first and foremost. As far as working the games, you got to work games. And I'll turn this one over to Doug. Call strikes. Call strikes. We get evaluated now, guys, on every pitch that we render a decision on. Anything, like any pitch that batter doesn't swing at and it doesn't hit him, we get a score the following day of what pitches we got right, what pitches we got wrong, according to their Major League Baseball's automated strike zone. In the minor leagues, youth leagues, man, call strikes. Make the guy swing the bat. You know, now obviously within reason. I'm not talking about Doug Eddings' strike zone back in the day. Oh my God. But within reason. You know what? Make them swing the bat. Be aggressive. Don't be a ball umpire. And I say that for two reasons. First off, the kids swing the bat. They need to make eye-hand contact. Like if you're calling strikes, they know you're going to call strikes. Like especially in the little league, stuff like that. I mean, those pitchers have a hard time even throwing a strike. And so do yourself, obviously the higher you move up, you're going to have to be a little bit more consistent and bring it in. And unfortunately, you're going to know that from your partner, from the reaction of the players or managers. You're going to have an idea of if you've gone too big or if you're not calling enough strikes. And so I don't want to rely on their feedback, but use it. Use it. Talk to your partner. Hey, did you see that pitch in the third inning? Do you think I could have called that, or do you think it was down? Like use it, but try to call strikes. When you call strikes, they swing the bat. The game moves faster. That's what everybody wants.
I agree with Billy, and it's tough because I started umpiring when I was 13 years old, 14 years old. Did older people games. Used to do the old timers when I was 15, 16, and it's tough. Old-timer baseball, where again, that's just a fact of life. When you're older and you see someone younger, they're not going to believe you all the time, and that's just going to be the matter of fact. No matter if you're calling strikes, no matter if you're consistent in what you do, so there you stand your ground. You know what?
Yes.
You don't take any BS from anybody. You're not getting paid to go out there to take any abuse. And I'm sure Dana tells you this all the time, that you're not out there to take BS. No abuse. You're out there to officiate, umpire the game. And if they cross the line, or if there are numerous people crossing the line, handle it. Handle it with professionalism. Handle it very calm. Don't ever stoop down to their level and be aggressive with them. Just if they're warrant ejection, or you give them a warning, follow through with it. I think that's the biggest thing is, like Billy said, be consistent, call strikes. But the third thing is, you know what, when older people see you, sometimes they're not going to, they just don't have, think younger people, you know, they're kind of fresh and this and that. Handle it.
Yeah, I agree with Doug, guys. You have to draw that line in the sand, and you're going to determine how much crap you take from the dugout or even the stands. I mean, I've been to Little League games, and a lot of times I go to the outfield and sit down there because the parents are just brutal. And so you have to decide what you're going to listen to. And if you're not comfortable, stop the game and tell them, I'm not going to listen to that. If you want to, you keep that to yourself or you can leave. And then don't start the game. I mean, you have to draw a line in the sand. Now, once again, the term rabbit ears, this and that, whatever. Don't be like looking for like a little comment to shut somebody down. But, you know, exercise a little judgment. And when enough is enough, let them know. Firmly take off your mask and say, that's enough. Maybe wave your arm. That's enough. It goes a long way because they'll know, oh, he just told me. Like, I can't go any further than that. Now, if they're gonna do it again, don't keep issuing warnings. Like Doug said, do not keep issuing warnings. You're gonna have to jerk somebody. And I know on the youth level, it's really weird, but some of these people, they've watched old highlights of guys arguing and this and that. Shut it down. And a lot of times these leagues, especially high schools and stuff, if you eject a manager, there is a huge penalty on him. Like if he gets thrown out 2 times, at least out in California, you get thrown out 2 times, you're done. You're done as the manager. And so use that in your favor. I mean, I'm not saying go out and look for it by any means. You don't want that reputation, but you want the reputation that you're not going to take any gruff. Any grief, any gruff, any whatever you want to call it. Like set that bar.
Awesome. Okay, we got a couple more here, guys. Let's see. So we're hearing more and more from coaches and media for corners to allow more dialogue from umpires and coaches. Every umpire, coaches say, we wish we could talk more to you all. Why can't we? We know we can't, but damn, it's hard not to talk to you when we see you all over and over throughout the year. How do you guys, what are your opinions on that coaches, umpires communication?
I think that's just an old time. I think that's just an old time saying. People use that as an excuse. Just because you're an umpire, I think managers or in high school or even lower levels, I think it's the way you communicate to yourself or with them. It's the way you communicate with other people and how you present yourself. Just because you're strong and firm doesn't mean that you're unapproachable. I think sometimes they take it as that way, but also you're there to do a job. You're not there to be their buddy. You're not there to talk to them about their kids or what they did last week. If they have a question or they want to talk to them. And that's what I always tell them in different clinics and stuff. You know what? Be approachable. You should be approachable because that's a misconcept always. Ever since I've been umpiring, they always says, why can't we talk to you guys? Well, you can. You know what? For one, if you approach me right. 2, if you talk to me right. And 3, if you talk to me like a gentleman. But if you're yelling at me and screaming at me and you say I'm not, you don't hear me and you don't talk to me, you're right. I'm not going to listen to anybody scream or yell at me, and I will be unapproachable because I'll give you a couple warnings, and then I'll just throw you out of the game. But if you want to talk to me about a play, if you want to talk to me about a rule or something, then we'll talk. Right, Billy?
Yeah, I don't know if the question was geared towards the youth level or our level. I can speak to our level. I don't want them coming out and asking me questions. I really don't. I don't want them. So you know what? I'm not going to make it. I'm not going to accommodate them. Yeah, come on out. I love talking to you. They know what it is. Most of the time, they already know they already know the answer. They just don't like it. And so anyway, it's a little frustrating because we get that all the time from the office. Oh, they feel like they can't talk to you. They feel like they can't talk to you. Well, have they tried? Like Doug said, did they come out? Or they come out like a madman? Did they come out approachable? Like, hey, Bill, I got a question for you, this and that. A lot of times, back in the day, they would just come out screaming and yelling. I don't mind if a guy comes out between innings. Hey, you know what? I got a question on that. You know, what do you have over there? I'll give him all my time that I have. But if you're going to come out and just for histrionics and theatrics to fire your team up or whatever it is, I got no time for it.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing in any sports, even basketball officials, football officials. It's the communication level. I think the better you communicate with the coaches, it's gonna be better for the game. And again, don't get me wrong. Where you know what, you don't have to be his buddy, but you know, before the game, the communication level with the coach or the manager before the game, you talk to them and you tell them how it is. You know what, it's going to be at a better level. But if you don't talk to them before the game, I mean, you know, like Billy, I don't know if he's going to do it anymore, but Billy's big on when whoever brings out the lineup card, either the first time or the second time, Billy usually gives them a joke. And the point of the joke is just to show them that we're kind of human. That, you know, if it's just
and they're funny too, like really funny jokes, not bad jokes.
But he has a good point. You know what? He's
I can tell one joke. I'll tell one. Can I tell a joke?
Tell a joke, right. Billy.
Excuse me, the ladies on the thing. It's not bad. Thank you. 3 guys in a whorehouse. 3. One guy's going in. One guy's on his way out. The other guy's inside taking care of business. What are their nationalities? All right, the guy going in, he's Russian. The guy on the way out, he's Finnish. The guy inside taking care of business, Himalayan.
Himalayan.
Not bad.
But it just kind of breaks the ice.
A lot of people shaking their heads. A lot of head shakers.
But you know what? That's what we usually get at the home plate meeting when he tells that fast to the coach or the manager that comes out. It just kind of breaks the ice. And you know what? It just shows. And Billy has a good point. It just shows you're human. That, you know what? We have a personality. You know what? We're here to do a job, but you know, it breaks the ice before the game, and we get fired up. Half the time, Billy has a couple of them that he can't say, but he'll have the manager or the coach rolling in the dugout that, you know, he's either making signs at me during the game or something, but it's kind of funny.
Yeah, and once again, we talk about like the relationship with managers and coaches. You know, at the youth level, on our level, we talk to base coaches all the time. You know, at the managers, we have relationships. Most of them have played, and so we had them as players. And so we have a relationship. It's the same guys over and over. They just switch organizations. But for the most part, we have relationships with these people. I suggest on the youth level, you know what? Let them know. Talk to them. Let them know your name. It always drives me batty when they don't call me by my name. You know, just, you know, and maybe that's our fault because we didn't approach them. We didn't give them a chance. We didn't tell them what our name is. We didn't small talk and give them that like this much. And maybe that makes the difference as far as making things a little easier on the field. I'm not saying that, you know, to kiss their rear end or be buddies with them, but like Doug says, just let them know that you're human.
Awesome. Good stuff, guys. A couple more questions. So you guys okay with that?
I got all night.
All right.
I got a game at no.
All right. We kind of talked about it. This is my first question about the call in the World Series, but how do you deal with the media and announcers bashing calls and umpires? We as umpires know you guys have calls and rules correct, but it's amazing what announcers and media do to try and make the umpires on TV look incompetent.
I'll answer that one first. Just a long time ago when I first got started, my mom's no longer with us, but she was my biggest fan, and she didn't miss a game. But after, I would say, a good 5 years, she used to watch the games without any volume, because she got so tired of hearing the announcers just bashing not only her son but all umpires, and she just didn't understand it. For the first 5 years, she'd say, well, they said this, they said that, and I'd always tell Mom, do not listen to them. It's what they're saying is wrong. They're not right. They're not fair. They're just trying to try to cause news, and that's what they do. The announcers try to cause controversy or news just to have it more exciting, and that's pretty much their job sometimes. So how I deal with it, I don't read papers. I don't read articles. About things. I know Billy's in a different situation where he's a union president, where things are sent to him. Obviously, he deals with stuff with the office. If they're not fair, or they're actually either malicious or lying about something, Billy takes it up with the office, and the office deals with them. But other than that, I don't watch sports as far as the announcers and stuff. When we watch highlights, usually it's somewhere where we don't have the volume up anyways. Right, Billy?
Yeah, good point, Doug. Most of the games we work where they're just bashing us, telling everybody how terrible we are, we never hear that. We don't go back and watch the games. We watch, like when we get our strike zone thing, we watch individual pitches, but there's no volume on there. So the only way we hear that type of stuff is if people relay it to us. People send us articles. We seem to have a revolving door of management. Joe Torre's our guy. Well, Joe Torre actually just left, and Chris Young, former pitcher, 6'9", 6'10" guy, played for the Royals, Padres. He's now kind of stepping into Joe Torre's role, and I think he'll be good. It always takes everybody that assumes the role of the senior vice president of on-field operations always comes from the baseball side, and they all think they're going to fix these umpires. These umpires are out of control, and they're going to fix it. And so they realize that we're human. They realize that we care about our job. They realize, and so all of a sudden, after 3 years, 4 years, all of a sudden, now Joe Torre is sympathetic towards the umpires. He wasn't like that from the get-go, but he's sympathetic for the umpires. And it's nice to have those guys have a little bit of credibility, but as far as the announcers go, sorry guys, we're out. They are just going to continually bash us and write stories and make things up, and Bill Miller is the worst umpire ever to ever work in Kansas City ever again. And that's part of our job. You have to move on. If you let that affect you, it's going to affect you on the field. And like Doug said earlier, we are trying to put that aside. We want to walk on the field without all this other noise of, oh my God, I was terrible last time, so I'm going to be good this time. That's just not how we work. So a lot of the things that we just don't even hear what the media says. Obviously, if it becomes sensationalized, like the Sam Holbrook situation in Houston, a lot of different things that we could probably name and you guys would know, but we just try to let it go. We do deal with the media. There's times when we have to go to the media room, especially in the playoffs, give explanations. We have a pool reporter that'll come to the room 15, 20 minutes after the game's over to hopefully get our side of the story if a situation happens. We like that when they come to our room so they can get an explanation of why we did what we did instead of just running with the players and managers' version and not getting the facts. So there are some reporters out there that do their due diligence, but for the most part, they're going to say what they're going to say. We've asked baseball to do that, to the Tim McCarvers, who's no longer around, but we have guys that just they bash the umpires. And unfortunately, they're team employees, but baseball doesn't claim to have any power over them. So they don't get fined, they don't get suspended.
And that's a good segue into like talking about like with what you guys deal on a daily basis with coaches, situations. You know what, if you just have something that just is crazy and in a bad situation, say you didn't end up ejecting anybody, you know what, it's either an email or a call to Dana and give a heads up. You know what, actually for her to know before a coach or a parent or someone calls her, you know what, she should know way before they call her from you guys, because you guys are the eyes and ears of her and the association. And that's a good thought for you guys to think about. If you just have or if someone's not fair to you, if you have a coach that's not fair to you, and if you didn't eject him and you tell Dana, say, Dana, I probably could have ejected him. You know what, he should have been ejected, but I kept him in the game. I didn't, and I kind of feel bad that I didn't, but I want you to know that he was not fair to me, and that this is not right. So it's good stuff to talk to her about.
I know we're not getting paid anymore, so apparently Doug's lights have been turned off. So smile, Doug. We can't even see you.
You can't see me?
Doug, it's dark in there. Anyway, Doug's got a good point. On the major league level, just so you guys know, when we have an ejection or a warning or a hit by pitch, like an intentional throwing at something, like within I think it's 2 hours after the game, we have to phone the report into the office. Because why they want that? It doesn't have to be detailed. They want as much detail as possible, but what they want is they want to know before the coaches, GMs, owners start calling the office. They want to have some sort of, like, what the hell happened last night in Seattle? What happened? And so we immediately do that. We have to have a report in by 24 hours, and we go through the report. We have crew chief sign off on it. Even when I write my reports, I usually run it past Doug just to make sure I didn't miss anything. We always watch video. You guys don't have that access, but we'll go through the tape to see if we see anything else that happened that we didn't see on the field. Because for some reason, baseball says if it's not in your report, we can't do anything about it, which is totally baloney, but that's what happens. And so they are starting to use video a little more often as far as policing the game and seeing what people do that's not caught by the umpire's eye. But that being said, nobody wants to eject anybody on the major league level because you gotta call in a report, you gotta freaking write a report. It's not a lot of
fun. Awesome. Let's see here. Mechanics questions, guys. I know you, Doug, you didn't want to get into mechanics, but there's a question. Can you ask him where their eyes are at on a bang bang call at first base?
Is that from Robert Nunez?
No, I don't think so.
You want to answer, Billy? Go ahead. You're good at first base. I'm not very good at first base.
Well, last year I was good at first base. Not the year before. Like 2018, not so good. 2019, very good.
Tell them what base you're the best at.
Third base. I've been voted best third base umpire in the major leagues 18 years in a row. I think Doug and somebody else are the only two people I allow to vote. But that being said, you know what, guys? We concentrate on the base. We concentrate on the base. It's just like going to the clinics that we all go to. Concentrate on the base. Hear the pop of the glove. And slow your timing down. I have really fast timing. When I start going south, it's because I'm I'm calling it as it's happening. Instead of just taking that extra split second to see it, think about it, and then make your call.
Good stuff, Billy.
Can I ask a follow-up question to that?
No. Next.
What about at second base on a force play at second base?
You know, it's funny you talk about it. I mean, Doug will talk about it in a minute, but we've kind of changed where we take our calls. Now, remember, guys, we work a 4-man system, And so we have the luxury now because of instant replay. We were just getting crushed at second base on steal plays. And so I'll get to force plays in a minute, but so we are now taking our calls, obviously it's 90-foot bases, but we're on the backside. And so almost like taking a play at the plate. We try to get on the glove hand, the glove shoulder, and see it there. And so now on force plays, same thing. I am staring at the base because now with replay, that guy pulls his foot before the ball hits the glove. That's what we have. You're going to miss it. If you're looking at the glove, you're never going to see it. If you're looking at the whole thing, you're never going to see it. So I've kind of changed. I used to look at the whole thing. Now I'm focused on the glove. Focused on the base, and I hope like hell he doesn't drop it. But we've also changed that rule too, that a twist of the glove is a catch. Baseball's crazy. I mean, it just has to be in there for a second, and it's a catch. So for the most part, we don't have like the drop ball very often. If he drops it, most likely he just dropped it. And it also depends on how far away the ball goes. Kind of tells you, but I stare at the base. Dougie?
Yeah, I agree, Billy. That's definitely what I do. And what I was going to say with you guys don't have that luxury because most of the time you're working a two-man or two-person system or a three-man. So you don't have that luxury because you're turning on the ball anyways, and it's going to happen like that.
Good point. Yeah, I forgot they were in a two-man. You're gonna stay with it. If a guy pulls his foot in the youth level, you're not gonna call that guy safe. You don't be a hero out there, guys. Don't be a hero. And girls.
Unless he's bigger than life, then you call him safe. But if you're just guessing, if you just look like you came off the bag, that's not the way to umpire. And again, you're out there to do your best of your abilities and best in your situation, because situation working two men, it's tough. I mean, and that's why sometimes the coaches aren't fair because they don't realize what you guys are going through, especially on the bases, trying to cover, especially when there's multiple runners.
Okay, let's see. This one's Doug. I guess you like throwing the ball back to the pitcher, somebody says. Why?
Is that Robert Nunez again?
No, it wasn't Robert.
I'm just kidding. You know what? It started a long time ago. I like I said, I've always enjoyed the game. I think Billy at one time in his life was probably had a better arm than me. He was a catcher growing up, but you know what? I just always enjoyed. Once I started umpiring, I just always had thrown the ball back to the pitcher, and then it just kind of started. Early in my umpiring career, leagues, it just kept me in the game. As a plate umpire, I like to swing around. To me personally, it makes me feel like I'm in the game, and I do it aggressively. And I pop it back to the pitcher. Nowadays, it's more of a lob because I don't have that anymore. But it just keeps me in the game.
Doug, what's wrong with your speaker?
What's that?
Your speaker went out.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. I think I had my thumb on it. But anyway, so it just keeps me in the game. I mean, I enjoy
Doug, tell them better stories. Tell them the time you hit the pitcher in the chest with the ball when you threw it out.
Yeah. It was my first year in the big leagues. I remember Pete Harnish pitched for the Reds. It was a day game, and it was about third, fourth inning, and it was in Kansas City. Sure enough, foul ball. He was looking right at me, bullet right in the chest. I mean, I hit him right in the chest. Goodness. And I remember, I can't think of the manager's name, but he ended up taking him out like an inning or two later. And he goes, God, if you just hit him in the head, I could have taken him out last inning. But, it's kind of embarrassing. Stadium one day, a day game after a night game in Yankee Stadium, the first two balls threw out to center field to Bernie Williams. That wasn't pretty either. So,
Bill, how about you? Are you give it back to the catcher, or you throw it back to the pitcher?
You know what? If he's next to me, I give it to him. I'm not gonna I'm not going to like take a couple of steps to throw it to him. I'll throw it back to him. But not as much pop as Doug's got. That's the truth.
Do you guys have a special method, either now or when you were coming up, for mastering the rules?
Special. I was trying to think. Special method. I think, you know, just like we talked about, just staying. We go over those stuff on different naughty plays. We talk about stuff. We have rule tests. So, I mean, as a major league umpire, you're always involved in talking about rules. They're always kind of putting things into motion as far as seeing rules. So it's always part of it. So I don't know, Billy?
That's changed. It's changed. Back in the day, I've worked with a number of umpires. And I wouldn't say we're the best rules people, but they could buffalo their way out of anything. And so I remember Doug Harvey said, the reason the rule book didn't define everything is because there's gray area in there. And that way, the umpire was always right. 20 years later, they have defined everything, which has just made our job harder. You know, we used to be able to, you know, we can get through a discussion, you know, an argument, whatever it was, and get the manager to believe us. As long as we started the game, that's it. He couldn't protest. He couldn't do anything more. But nowadays, I mean, you got to go to replay. You have to. I mean, there's so many. There's no skating that anymore.
All right, so let's see, guys, a couple more here. Do you ever admit to a player or a coach that you were wrong and missed the call? How do you handle that? Would you gain credibility?
I think now just with replay, I don't think that happens at all, because obviously if they think we got it wrong, we're going to go to replay and that's going to be fixed. You know, back in the day, growing up through umpire school in the minor leagues, you know, the old saying was, you never tell them you're wrong. I kind of disagree with that. Sometimes you learn through the hard ways, especially with the youth and high school level, where, you know what, you're going to be wrong. And that's just a fact of life. You're human. And there's ways of saying to a coach, instead of just saying, I was wrong, you could say, I didn't get a good look at it. If he's smart enough to know that you're basically saying that I didn't get a good look at it, I probably missed it. You know what, I think my feeling is, if that's going to be your crutch all the time by saying I missed it, I think that's just a cop-out. I think you're selling yourself short. Don't get me wrong, man. I think if it's a big call and you know you really kicked it, I have no problem with you saying I missed it. But constantly just saying I missed it, that's the easy way out. I think as an umpire, there's so many other ways, just saying, hey, you know, hey Hector, I didn't get a good look at it. You know, and he's like, you missed it. He goes, Hector, did you hear me? I just told you I didn't get a good look at it. It was a tough call. And move on from there. Again, it's a way you communicate with the coaches that, you know, and on the other side of it, don't be one of those guys that I'm always right. I got it right, Hector. Nope, that's what it is. The call stands. I got it right. No, that's not the way you control your game, and that's not the way you communicate with your coaches, managers. You have a rapport. And I think Billy will tell you this too, is, you know, there's some managers you probably have a good rapport with that you can, you know, be a little softer and say, you know what, Hector, I didn't have a good look at it. I might have missed it. You never said right there, you never said you missed it. I might have missed it. But then there's some a-holes out there that, you know, that are just not good guys. Maybe you're not like, Hector, I didn't get a good look at it. The play stands. We're moving on. You know, it's just a different tone of voice, but you're still having a communication with them and you're moving on. Billy, what's your thoughts on that?
Well, it's two different scenarios, especially like the youth leagues and amateur or whatever, and the major leagues. I mean, shoot, guys, now we have replay, so they know before we know if we got it right. You know, when you guys are out working your games, don't be sold that the manager knows or the player knows you missed it. You know what? I'd lean on my partner maybe. You know, I mean, if you trust the coach, you know, I'd give that, but don't like just immediately go, okay, yeah, I didn't get a good look at it. You know what? Trust in yourself. I'm talking, you must have like missed it because close plays, you don't miss. Nobody misses because nobody knows. They don't have replay down in your level. You know, the American Legion, the high school, they don't have replay. And so nobody knows whether or not you missed it for sure. Your partner might, but I'll be honest with you. Like, I'll be working second base, and Doug's working first. Like, all game, I think he misses plays. Like, all game. I mean, and lo and behold, he's always right. But you just don't get as good of a look. I mean, sorry, Doug. But,
Yeah, I know. You'll tell me later. God, I thought you had a tough night, but it ended
wow,
up
rough.
All
All right.
Were the lights bad out there? What? What do you mean lights bad out there? It's tough scene out there, I guess.
Okay, guys, couple more here. In your own post-game debriefing review with the crew, how do you offer constructive criticism to the umpire that always has an excuse or an alibi?
Those are our favorite guys to work with.
That's like a spring training post game.
Yeah, you know what? We don't do a lot of post game. If we have a situation, we'll talk that out. We do it like if we're sitting at the bar afterwards, or we're at lunch the next day, or on the car ride to the ballpark the next day. We might try to bring something up, but I'll be honest, our guys are pretty good. It's hard when you're dealing with a know-it-all. It's never fun. Guys that always have an excuse for what happened or why they weren't in the right position. I would start with that. You know, hey, you know, did you see where you took that play? You know, why did you take it there? You know, turn it back on them. You know, hey, did you get a good look from there? Because I usually take it over here. You know, why did you take it there? Like, try to start a discussion. You know, if you have that person that kind of always knows and whatever it is, you're just going to have to deal with those guys. I mean, I think we all have that in us a little bit, but you have to be open to criticism. You have to be open to talking the sport because we just don't know it all. We really don't. And there's always, like, Doug was one of the first guys to go into the backside at second base. And I followed a couple years later, and it's been eye-opening for me. But you can't convince our supervisors right now that that's a legitimate place to take a steal play. They think you were totally out of position because they never took it there. And as Doug will tell you, you get the best look on a steal play on the backside. It is unbelievable. But that being said, when you have a partner, I would work the positioning angle with him and see if that gets any traction.
Yeah, I agree, Billy. I just it's hard to communicate with somebody. You know, we get these guys, AAA guys that come up in spring training. I don't want to say it's just a generation, but there's a lot of these guys that, you know, back in the day when me and Billy came up, we did doing spring training. You know, after the game, would want the major league umpire or whatever coming in and would be asking questions. Hey, what did you think? What you know? We'd probably wear them out. It's just, you know, on questions. I can't even remember a time now with our young umpires, and not major league umpires, but young umpires coming up asking questions because they to personally, like you said, Hector, I mean, they act like they know it all, and not to ask questions. I mean, like I said, me and Billy are always talking positioning. We're always talking, even during spring training, we'll go between innings to a base and talk positioning. We look probably like morons, but who cares? We're learning, we're talking about getting better. And this is after 31 years of umpiring. And it's hard to answer. Those are the questions I think you let Dana know, or your your head guy of the association or the head woman of the association, and let them know that, hey, you know what, I worked with this guy or girl a couple times, and it just seems like always an alibi or just always excuses, don't want to listen. It's a tough.
Because we said it earlier, you can always get better. Always. I mean, you just positioning, you talk position, you talk plays. I mean, that's what we do. This is our job. This is what we do full time. And so it's important to us. But, you know, have that post game that, you know, ask them why they took it there. You know, why'd you take it first baseline extended, the play first baseline extended, which, by the way, you should never do. Just
never. Write that down. Whoever's taking notes, I saw someone right there and pointing at him. Dominic, you're right. You're taking down notes. Never take it that play.
First baseline extended. No.
First baseline extended. Never on the plate.
All right,
what else
guys.
You got for us, Hector?
Okay, a couple more. A lot of good questions tonight, guys. Thanks for sending them in. Is there any mental preparation you do before you take the plate for a game?
You know what, I think, and Billy probably feel the same. I think the mental part of working the plate starts probably 2 days before that. I think when you're working second base, you kind of, you know, looking at the plate umpire, you know, straight in, but you're working the base, you're working second base. But what I'm trying to say is you're already getting prepared to work the plate. Your mind is already thinking about 2 days from now. And then especially when you move to second or first, yeah, you want to be focused for the whole night and you want to get all your plays right. But you know that next day or next night you're working the plate. And it's just a process. To me, I just, you know, again, when people always ask, that's a big question, like, what's your favorite position? You know what, if you're not an umpire, if you're a real umpire, you would say the plate. I know Billy thinks he's the best third base umpire, and he'll say that he wants to work third base, but he wants to work the plate, hands down, because that's where you're at. And I'm thinking about it 2 days before, because kind of like after you work the plate, it's just a kind of a like, oh, and then you go to third base. So third base is kind of just a let it out, and then again, then you got to start gearing up again. You know, the day of the game, a night game, you know, you're thinking about it all day. You know, how you take a nap, what you eat for lunch. You know, if it's like I said, it's a job. And the same thing, you know, like what you guys do, you know who your team is. I know, like, some guys don't want to know. I want to know who's pitching. I want to know, like, you know, if it's a left-hander, right-hander. No, it doesn't make a big deal. But to me, that's just one of the things that I like to know. Billy, what do you think about it?
I'll be honest with you. You probably don't want to get my. I just show up. I show up. I like to play cards in the locker room. And so if I could play cards until like 10 minutes before I walk on the field and scramble and get all my stuff on and run out there, that way I don't sit and think about it. We got a lot of guys, I don't want to say a lot of guys, but we have guys that sit and think about their play job. That's not who I am. So I'd rather just play cards, laugh, roll out, tell a plate joke, and then hopefully not miss the first pitch of the game.
California boy.
Awesome. Okay. I think we're thanks for we kept you guys a little extra, guys. We have one more here. Let's see. We kind of always ask this as our last question, but when you think of your favorite, most important game you ever done, which one comes to mind first?
Go ahead, Billy.
Probably my most stressful game, believe it or not, I did a 1-game playoff. It was a wild card game between the Royals and Oakland A's. I think it went like 12 innings. It was just like one team had a 4-run lead. Then the Royals caught up. The A's had a 3-run lead, and it was as stressful game as I've ever worked, ever. And 1-game playoff, you know, the wild card game, it's like a game 7. That's it. And it was a close game. So you you're behind the plate in a playoff game. I'm not going to lie. I want a blowout. I want a 10-0 game. where I can't affect the outcome of the game. I mean, the people that say, "Oh, I want a one-run game that goes extra innings and a walk-off home run," I don't know. I don't know. So that was mine. But,
Hector, was the question like your most important game or the most stressful game or I don't know.
A game, your most favorite game that comes to which game did you enjoy the most, or that comes to your mind first?
Well, I mean, obviously that was my first game in the big leagues, and it's like I said, he's my best friend. It's funny. I was in Nashville, Tennessee, working in AAA, and I was got called up on it was a Friday morning, and I had a fly to Chicago to work the White Sox in Seattle Mariner game, and lo and behold, on the crew was a young Bill Miller. So Bill was there, and the guy that I came in for, he had broke his toe, and his name was Kim Kaiser. Opposing, yeah. So anyway, I get to Chicago, my first major league game, and they have no rooms for me. There's no rooms in Chicago, all sold out, no rooms. So I end up sleeping in Bill's room on a cot. We go out the night before. He takes me to dinner, talks about it. We have a day game, working second base in Chicago with the White Sox. So that's the one I really enjoy the most. And it's like I said, it's fitting. And then to be with Billy, my first big league game, and sleeping on the cot is great. I don't even think he charged me for the room either.
Damn it. Still owe me.
Well, guys, I don't see any other questions. If I want to thank you guys for joining us tonight. And I say this every week. We really, those who want to get better will get better with this webinars and this Zooms. Do you guys have any, as we leave, any words of encouragement for us, or anything you guys would like to share with the group?
Yeah, I do. You know what, guys and girls, we're all in this together. Like what you guys do at your level is the same thing. We walk on the field, we call balls and strikes, we call safes and outs, we try to run the game the best we can, and then we walk off the field, and you want to say, you know what, I did everything I could to give them a fair game. And so we're all in this together. So I want to say thank you for having me on. I appreciate Doug asking me. Dana, it's good to see you again.
You as well.
You guys, we're all in this together. And so what you guys are doing is providing a memory for the kids. And like I said, umpiring is hard to come by these days. Not a lot of people are getting into it. So thank you for doing what you guys do.
Yeah, same thing. I appreciate you guys having me on. Just like Mike Everett said the other day, and I'm sure I've been trying to get him to come out to New Mexico for years and years. I lived at Billy's house one year because we worked at Oakland A's and the San Francisco Giants many times. But trying to get a clinic going and get Billy out here for a clinic up in Albuquerque or even in Las Cruces would be great. Like Mike Everett said, I loved anything I could do or anything I could help out. I'm here. And like I said, anything for the group. If there's questions during the year, Dana knows how to get a hold of me, or Nunez or Mike Rendell. So thanks for having me, and wish all of you, hopefully if we get fired up, you guys some Legion ball or whatever, successful summertime, and you guys will be ready to go.
And Doug and Bill, I just want to thank you both from the NMOA. Doug, I appreciate your friendship over the years, and I appreciate you staying involved. And I did the same thing with Mike Everett. Nate Acosta in our office did pull your records of officiating as well. So we're starting a wall of fame at the NMOA Hall of Fame. And when the next time I see you, I'm going to have you sign these. But just in case anybody was wondering, Doug was a 3-sport official in the NMOA. He did 5 years of football, 7 years of basketball, and 3 years of baseball. So pretty good test scores. So I will report that you did pass all of your tests. It looks like you were a clinic guy and a meeting guy, so I appreciate you being a good role model. Mike Everett's clinic attendance was a little sketchy. I'll let you know that. We did tell him. But thank you both. And Bill, we'd love to have you come out sometime and work a clinic with Doug. We can have you guys both come, and you can sleep on a cot in Doug's room or whatever you guys want to do. But we really appreciate it. It just means so much to us that you all are willing to give back to our officials. And I know you all consider yourselves, we're all in this together, but you definitely are role models for our officials, and we appreciate you giving up your time on a Thursday night. I know you don't have a whole lot else to do right now because apparently, what you'd like to be doing isn't happening. But and anytime you'd like to help us, we'd love your help. And I'm excited that we had a twofer tonight. This is our first one that we've had in any sport, so this has been really cool. Thank you so much for being part of the NMOA family, and we sincerely appreciate you.
Thanks for having
Doug,
us.
Doug, Nate Acosta, make sure you tell my favorite Eddings hello. The best assistant coach in New Mexico.
What's that?
That's one for the bar, Nate. You need to come over to the house and have a cold one here.
Come on.
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm coming to them.
House.
I will tell my wife you said hello, Nate. And thanks for donating to the charity, too.
Did I hear that the next
I
meeting's at
appreciate
Doug's
that.
house? Is that what I heard?
Yeah,
I
it's
heard
always
that.
open. Look at the bar's open. Thanks, Dana. I appreciate it.
Thank you
Thanks.
guys so much.
Thanks,
I
Hector.
appreciate it. Thanks
Take
to
care,
everybody.
guys. Have a good year.
Thanks everybody for
Billy.
attending tonight.
Guys, we'll see you guys next week. Next Thursday, we have Scott Taylor, which is the Division II Umpire National Coordinator. So he will be joining us next Thursday night. You guys have a good, great, and blessed week. And we'll see you guys next week.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Hector.
Thank
Thanks,
you, Hector.
Dana. Good seeing you guys.
Gracias, Hector.
Hey, everybody get those masks. It's the law now.
I think John
Thank
was
you,
wearing
John,
his.
for showing your handsome face. And Hector, I hope the governor lifts the restrictions so you can shave your beard and cut your hair, bro.
Thank you guys.
All right, everybody, good night.
Good night.
You guys have a good night. Thank you guys all.
Thank you so much, Hector.
Thank you, Dana.
Those nachos.